In our overview of version 42 cards and their affinities, we've landed on Chaos. Chaos is defined as an aggressive playstyle, pushing everything to its limits. It used to be Fury, and you know what? It is still meant for crazy damage dealers with some other really awesome options. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Paragon guide. I am Sylphin. In this video we're taking a look at the Chaos Affinity and what kind of cards these have and what heroes can really benefit from these cards. The very first one we start off with is Demolitionist. This is a 1 agility card, really good here in the early game. And the passive is Siege. Deal 12 bonus damage to non-hero units and structures. Bonus damage is reduced to 8 if attack is ranged. So ranged people obviously get only 8 bonus damage, but melee gets 12. This can really help secure those last hits, secure some extra wave clear, and also works in the jungle as well. So if you're looking for some damage here, that can really help. With the 1 agility, there are some key gems that can really synergize well with this card. Living Guardian is a bit of an odd card in my opinion. With 1 vitality cost, you get fortifying strikes. Basic attack hits grant a stack of 2 basic armor for 10 seconds. This effect can stack up to 10 times. So that means 20 basic armor for a 1 vitality card in the relatively early game, or you could just kind of keep it as an option throughout the match. It's kind of interesting. 20 basic armor when people are attacking slowly in the early game to build those up, and people aren't doing much damage for the basic for the basic damage. It's a bit odd. It is a sort of a tanky option if you are going to dive in on the enemy duo as an offlaner. This maybe would help kind of build up that basic armor and kind of maybe help mitigate some damage. Otherwise, this would help in the jungle as you are hitting the minions, and you can get that basic armor that would mitigate the damage you take from those minions. Now here is a vision card in the Chaos Affinity. For 1,000 gold, you gain Outlander Scout. You gain True Sight. Grant True Sight in a 1,500 unit radius around your hero. 1,500 units, that's a significant amount. That is a teleblink radius away. And it's a fairly large radius. Not gonna maybe necessarily prevent a gank, but with stealth units, or if you are in the jungle, you will be able to grant, you know, see somebody maybe over a wall, as it is True Sight. Kind of in that sort of scenario. Now the combustible option here, the combustible affliction stat here tells us that in the Chaos Affinity, combustible cards are removed from your equipped cards upon death. So if you have this card equipped and then you die, it's removed, and you have to spend 1,000 gold to get it back in your equipped items. So it's kind of a trade-off. It can save you, but if you still die, you gotta pay for it again. Obviously, this is a very key card that in the early game, any Chaos hero probably really wants this. Not only can it save you, but it can save you from having other combustible cards, which we're definitely getting to, and kind of, you know, not having to lose those cards. Our first caster-oriented Chaos card here is Tireless Reaper. For 1 knowledge, you gain the Spellslinger passive. Your next ability costs 20% less to cast. Every 10 seconds, basically your next ability costs 20% less to cast. So for long-range poke or just kind of lane pushing power, you can use this in the early game, or just as a card you can just kind of slot in whenever for only 1 knowledge, 20% less. So for, you know, howitzer R2000 missiles, for gadget sticky mines, this can be a great harassment tool and can help with that, with sustaining and doing so. Another combustible card that you will lose if you die is called Profiteer. 2,400 gold. It's an investment. You gain 4 power and the Wealthy Minions passive. Earn 55 bonus gold for enemy minion kills. Basically increasing your last hit profits by 50%. Almost, depending on the minion that you kill. That's a significant amount. To be honest with you, that is a significant amount. If you can get away with this, especially obviously as a carry or anybody really, you can really get away with this. Obviously in the jungle this would work as well, and you know, anybody can really use this. The combustible option though means it gotta be careful. Carries, you'll really want this card. Nitro Boost is a card here that you probably underestimate, but can have tremendous effects. For 3 agility, you gain 11 attack speed. The first stat that we've seen so far, oh no, we saw power before. We get the sprint active. Gain 125 movement speed for 3 seconds. That's actually a pretty long time for no mana cost. No mana cost, and you can use it every 12 freaking seconds. That is phenomenal. Nitro Boost, it's not combustible, so you can have this on your carry, on anybody, on your ganking Chaos Jungler perhaps, to gain that movement speed. This movement speed can save your butt so that you can actually equip those combustible cards a little bit more safely, or you can just secure ganks. Nitro Boost, don't underestimate it. Now, if you are super nostalgic about Legacy, well, here is Legacy Travel Mode for you. Sand Speeder. It's a 3 agility card, gaining 11 attack speed, and get the fleet-footed passive. Increase your base movement speed by 8%. Whenever you attack or are attacked, however, your move speed is reduced by 4% for 15 seconds. So you gain 8% when you are out of combat for 15 seconds. But you still, even if you do attack, you still gain 4% increase no matter what. So it says reduced by 4, and 8 minus 4 is 4. So you gain 4% movement speed all the time, but you have another 4% you can gain when you are out of combat. Implications of this, I didn't really see too much of a serious impact with Sand Speeder, but again, if you are perhaps a Chaos Jungler, this, you can just zoom around the map, and maybe in that scenario, you can really notice a difference. Blinkshot has still remained here in version 42, it's just called something different. Blitz Rush is a 2 agility, 2 knowledge card, gives you 16 attack speed, and the Blinkshot active. Dash forward 1,000 units instead of 1,500, and hero kills reset this card's cooldown. So 50 mana every minute, every 60 seconds, you can use this to dash forward 1,000 units. So it has a 60-second cooldown instead of that insane 4 minutes, whatever that was. It's much more reliable. Executioner's Death does take 2 knowledge points, however, but you know what? For that option to dash forward 1,000 units to maybe save your butt with all the combustible cards we've been talking about, and you can secure kills, this almost a must-have, I think, on a lot of Chaos heroes. And Hemorrhage is also still is a card here in version 42 with Overclocked Droid. For 4 agility and 2 vitality, you gain 7 power, pretty good, and 13 attack speed. However, the active part here is every 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds, spend 50 mana to gain 32 attack speed and 150 move speed for 6 seconds. You also, just like Hemorrhage, take 15% additional damage while this effect is active. Melee heroes, you're more likely to get damaged than range heroes, all depending on when you use it, of course. But you know what? Frenzy here on a 30-second cooldown with power and attack speed, this is really good looking. Fairly early game, only 6 points to spend for this. It's a good, relatively early game card here that, if you can use that passive, can really snowball. Now here is another option for Chaos caster heroes, or anybody really, to be honest with you. Seiran Dawn. This is a 7 knowledge card that gains 21 power, the most we've seen so far for only 7 points. And you get an active Fireball. Every 30 seconds, spend 100 mana and launch a Fireball, dealing 150 ability damage and burning for 200 ability damage over 4 seconds. If you are another caster, if you are not even a caster, really, to be honest with you, although you do need to have 7 knowledge, you can get another ability, basically another cast ability that can deal damage. For me, I'm thinking for this, especially on somebody like Bellica, who can boom, there's a seismic assault into the void bomb, into the fireball. It'll be a really sustained and reliable amount of damage that you can just kind of annihilate somebody really quite easily. Anybody has 7 knowledge, really 30-second cooldown, it's damn good. Now here is an insanely powerful card, Hellfire Engine. For 7,000 gold, 7 attribute points, we gain the Savagery passive, but it's combustible. So if you die with this card, that's 7,000 gold that you've lost. But the passive is gain 100 basic damage. 100 basic damage. That is a ton of power equivalent. Even on a carry that gets tremendous power scaling, that 100 basic damage is insane. But with the 7,000 gold cost, it is looking like, to me anyways, if you are in the mid game and you know what, you're betting your bucks, go for Hellfire Engine. But in the late game, when you have that gold to spend, this is a card that you put on and you can afford to die because you're in the late game and get that insane amount of basic damage. Somebody like Kalari, though, even though she's squishy, can you imagine her running around with Hellfire Engine and a couple cards that's coming up, gaining 100 freaking basic damage on her hit out of stealth and then a couple other hits? Insane. Must-have card for any carry or high damage assassin. Now here is a Trader's Touch sort of card with Pressure Hunter. 7 agility, gain 10 power and 13 attack speed, and gain the passive Giant Slayer. Deal 2 bonus damage to targets with more vitality than you. Not health, but points into vitality. So if you are a very squishy carry or damage dealer that has no points in vitality, the amount is increased in the vitality difference. As far as I know, for each point of vitality that's different from you and your target, you gain 2 bonus damage. So if you have no points in agility, or no points in vitality, and they are maxed out against a maxed out tank, for example, that's 25 times 2 is 50 bonus damage to that target, never mind the power and attack speed on the card. For somebody like, again, like we just went to, Kalari, or anybody really, a squishy damage dealer, they can really take down those, well, giants. They're a Giant Slayer. Good optional card in my opinion, depending on the enemy team comp. Now, the art kind of gives away who this is really meant for, and this card is Riot Sapper. For 2 vitality and 5 knowledge, you gain 11 power and 24 ability armor. The mana bomb active here is remove 20% of current mana from nearby enemy heroes, dealing ability damage equal to that mana removed. 75 mana cost. Every 45 seconds you can use this. Obviously, I mean, the art here kind of is really helping you say that this is really meant for Bellica, but she can definitely use that. So Bellica, you can certainly, you know, when the enemy engages or when you engages, you can run in there, boom, mana bomb, put down your void drone. The void drone doesn't care about current mana, it just cares about maximum mana. So boom, you can really help remove that mana from the enemy team and ensure that your ultimate works well. Obviously, Riot Sapper, absolutely fantastic on Bellica. Heavy Hitter is an absolute must-have card on carries. or on basic damage heroes. Heavy hitter, 8 agility, gains 16 power, 16 attack speed. That's pretty darn good here for only an 8-point card. And the passive is powerful strikes. Straight up, basic damage is increased by 15%. Obviously, don't need to explain how powerful that is. Just another way to increase your damage as a carry, as a assassin, maybe like even Kalari here. She can really utilize that 15% basic damage increase. Heavy hitter, absolutely must-have card on any carry. Alright, this card, oh my goodness. Reactor Beast, 4 vitality and 4 knowledge, gain 10 power, 14 attack speed, and 240 health for an 8-point card. That's pretty crazy. Check out this passive. Roll the bones. Hero kills reset all basic ability cooldowns. So right off the bat, if your cooldowns are long, this really helps those heroes. And of course, who can we think of for Reactor Beast that really synergizes well? Freaking Countess, man. Countess with Reactor Beast is absolutely insane. With Countess, you can get tremendous amount of power, a tremendous amount of damage. With some other cards we've talked about in other videos, you can just almost 2-3 shot heroes without even your freaking ultimate. So when you kill those, and she's great at securing kills, you can reset those abilities and do it again. And you know what? The potential is unfreaking believable. So Reactor Beast, amazing on Countess. And you know what? There's a lot of other heroes that can really utilize as well. It just depends on you know, if you can secure those kills. Now here's, I think, our first Brawler Bruiser card in the Chaos Affinity. It's called Thorned Yomi. For 2 agility and 6 vitality, you gain 10 power and 31 basic armor. The counterattack active is that every 35 seconds, spend 75 mana to return 65% of total damage taken for 4 seconds. Now, 4 seconds is a long time, especially in late game engagements, and 65% of damage taken is a ridiculous amount, especially against enemy carries, enemy hard-hitting caster or assassins, every 30 seconds as well. So incredible Brawler Bruiser sort of card here that, you know what, you can just rely on that counterattack so that you can just kind of dive and really get the attention of high damage dealers and really kind of turn it around on them. Nuke Blood Mutant is a bit of a confusing card for me, but we'll see what you think. 4 agility and 8 vitality to get 19 power and 195 mana. Now, the passive here is Arcane Haste. Gain 50 movement speed and 4 attack speed for 6 seconds when you cast an ability. Stacks up to 5 times. So the fact that it casts means I want to use it on abilities, on heroes that can cast abilities a lot. So immediately I think of Crunch and Shinbi. Now, Crunch and Shinbi, well, Crunch can definitely use agility and knowledge. You can definitely use that mana. So if you want a little bit of a damage crunch, this is going to work really well. Shinbi is also another hero that uses abilities a lot, but with 4 agility and 8 vitality, maybe a very end game. So you can stick on your targets and just kind of keep attacking faster. Another card that would actually work really well for her. So let me know down in the comments what Nuke Blood Mutant would be good for. Now here is another Brawler Bruiser card through Unstable Cyborg. 4 agility, 8 vitality, to gain 17 power and 47 basic armor. The passive part is Reactive Burst. 20% chance to deal 125 ability damage to all nearby enemies when taking damage. Has a small internal cooldown of 0.4 seconds. So every 0.4 seconds, you have a 20% chance to deal 125 ability damage to all nearby enemies. Obviously, if you can just dive in there and just kind of be that center of attention, maybe on a Chaos Zinx, on a Greystone, on anybody that can just kind of really sit there and absorb that damage and just continue to take it, on a Rampage who can just kind of regen health and really be there, this is phenomenal. So if you want to deal some ability damage while you're taking that damage, oh, Unstable Cyborg is it. Alright, if you guys want to see an insane card, this one is it. Amplification Engineer, 4 agility and 9 knowledge. Gain 24 power, 210 mana, and the Unstable Spells passive. When casting an ability, immediately damage nearby enemy heroes for 8% of their current health as ability damage. So this is tainted magic, but it's instantaneously. And it's whenever you cast an ability, not hit with an ability. So can you imagine Amplification Engineer on a Shinbi? This is handmade for our Shinbi, because every 2 seconds, there's 8% of their health. And then you can weave in spells, because you have your rhythm, your circle rhythm, you have your dash. Oh my goodness. Amplification Engineer, absolutely unbelievable. On a crunch, this would be monstrous. On as well, on anybody that you can use abilities quickly, this would be it. Even on a Severog, this would be monstrous. So, you know what, guys? Amplification Engineer, must have on Shinbi. Now, in my opinion, I think Compensator Rig is actually a bruiser card. I think the 10 vitality cost here basically makes it so. It also costs 3 agility, and you gain 20 power and 385 health. That's a good amount of health. Now, the Desperate Strikes passive is deal 1 additional basic damage for every 60 missing health. So however much health you are missing, just divide it up by 60, and that's how much more additional damage you are dealing. Now, it's additional basic damage, and in version 42, power and damage is much less. It's much more reliant on basic, on attack speed, and just its base damage is more what deals the overall damage here in version 42. So this is much more valuable than you may or may not think. Now, who is this meant for? Obviously, if you can put this on a Severog with a crazy amount of stacks, with a crazy amount of health, the more health he's missing, the more his basic attacks are going to deal just tremendous amount of damage. On a Greystone, he basically gets to use this card twice. First time throughout his first health, and a second time through his second health. So somebody like a Greystone, oh, this is an amazing card to have. Deathcrawler is one of those cards you really have to think about, because it's great on a lot of carries and damage dealers. So it's a bit interesting. 13 agility to gain 28 power and 24 basic armor. The Mighty Strikes passive is attack speed is reduced by 65, but every 8 seconds your basic attack deals 300% bonus damage. It's basically multiplied by 3. Straight up, just you deal 3 times your basic damage every 8 seconds. So obviously, it's without a doubt absolutely mandatory on somebody like Kalari. You can absolutely destroy people out of stealth with this card and single-handedly, boom, nuke somebody down. It's just unbelievable. But somebody like Revenant, who doesn't need attack speed anyways, and in fact that 65 attack speed reduction basically it doesn't even phase him at all, you can just straight up every 8 seconds, kaboom, there is 3 times basic damage, just like that. So on Revenant, really Deathcrawler, this is a tremendous card. For Kalari, absolutely mandatory. And on other carries, you gotta think of what your role is. If you're a melee carry, like somebody maybe like Serath, who can just jump in there and boom, there's a big burst of damage with your abilities, and because your abilities do damage as well, this is a consideration for sure. And because we are here in the late game chaos cards, we're getting all those super juicy damage cards. Shatter Golem is 13 agility, 26 freaking power, and 18 attack speed to gain critical strikes passive. Basic attacks have a 20% chance to deal 100% bonus damage. Because version 42 is taking the emphasis off crit and more onto attack speed and base damage, that this is the only option besides a gem, which is a weaker version of critical strikes. This is really kind of the only option you have for damage. So if you are a consistent damage dealer, you know, over time, but not over too much time, you really have to consider this. Basically, Shatter Golem, I think, is absolutely mandatory on any carry, but like I said before, Revenant, you may or may not want this card because, well, Deathcrawler is 13, and because you can only have 25 agility points, you have to kind of pick between these high cost cards. Do you want Deathcrawler or Shatter Golem? It's really up to you. What kind of a carry or basic attack damage dealer are you? You really have to think about it. Now, guys, the craziest card by far, without a doubt, in version 42, in my opinion, is this card right here. Redzone. It's a 24,000 gold card, 24 attribute cost card for 8 agility, 8 vitality, and 8 knowledge. You gain 29 power, 410 health, and 170 mana. The Redzone passive that is always active is nearby heroes, both ally and enemy, both deal and receive 50% bonus damage. Absolutely mind-blowingly game-changing. So who has 8 agility, 8 vitality, and 8 knowledge? Well, for me personally, I think of 2 heroes right off the bat. Sevarog, he absolutely can, definitely he has a lot of abilities on him, and he does like focus on his abilities, so that knowledge can definitely go far on him. Reactor as well is somebody that can benefit through all of those. Sevarog, that 8 agility helps with his basic attacks, and vitality obviously is a frontline hero, and the knowledge for his abilities. Reactor, very much the same. On those 2 heroes, I think Redzone, you know what, is absolutely possible. Both of those heroes can deal a tremendous amount of damage with that 29 power. Both of them can have the potential to use that health by far and that mana. And you know what? They are very much all in. Sevarog, with he's maybe much more well-rounded than Reactor, but Reactor, he's going, man. He gets the pull. There it is, 50% more damage onto that target. Your ally, you take them out. It's just Redzone. If somebody on your team has decided to go for Redzone, you gotta be aware of it. Basically, it hurts people that don't deal damage because A, they don't deal damage, so they don't benefit from that 50% bonus damage, but they receive it. If you have a lot of damage dealers, this card really helps you. Hopefully, because you can use both of those. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of Redzone. I'm still up in the air as to whether it's even worth it in the first place. And we're back to the beginning, guys. So there is Chaos. It's a mind-blowing affinity with lots of damage options, really good damage options, but also good caster options and some good bruiser options as well. So Chaos, there are some really sweet cards in here, some really good key cards on quite a number of heroes, and it's absolutely something you need to consider when you're building almost any hero. So Chaos, there you go. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this affinity. What do you think of the cards? Is there anything I missed? Absolutely. Please let me know down in the comments if you guys notice any amazing synergies that I missed, any amazing combination of cards. Please let me know, as everybody is learning, even myself, and we're just trying to figure this stuff out. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, and of course, guys, subscribe. You guys like this content, especially if you found it useful. Please subscribe so I can do it for you in the future. If you would like to support me on a regular basis, please head on over to my Patreon account where you can make a pledge to help me do what I love. Till next time, like always, guys, stay optimistic and positive.